The long wait for justice is something Peter is all too familiar with. Sexually abused as a teenager, his attacker was sentenced 12 months ago. But that was more than 8 years after he first went to police.
I spoke to them, and then there was 8 years of delay and mistakes and things that went wrong, all through no fault of my own, all systems that didn't support each other. And it was terrible. I felt like 8 years of my life were almost put on hold. It's this constant state of turmoil and stress, and almost, it's like if anyone's experienced grief, it's grief you can't ever get closure for because it hasn't finished.
It's cases like this the government wants to see sped up. To do so, a package of reforms, including a major shift away from jury trials, to try and clear a backlog of nearly 80,000 cases.
We now face an emergency in the courts, and we must act. As Lord Chancellor, my responsibility is to ground reform in the rule of law and the right to a fair trial. We will ensure cases are dealt with at the right level, proportionate to their severity, and deliver the swifter justice victims deserve.
The proposals will see jury trials scrapped for defendants where a likely sentence would be under 3 years. The most serious indictable cases, including rape, murder and terrorism, will continue with juries. In so-called either-way cases, defendants will lose the right to choose to be tried by jury. Instead, judges and magistrates will make that decision. Courts will also have more sitting days, so they're open for longer, with a £550 million package to support victims. There'll be more powers too for magistrates' courts. The Crown Court here in Bristol, where the backlog is much worse, is around 500 metres over there. To tackle the problem, the Justice Secretary is going to give the magistrates down here the power to hand out even longer sentences, from the current 12 months to up to 2 years. But there are concerns and critics who feel reducing jury trials won't solve the problem.
There's no evidence that removing jury trials will actually reduce the backlog. There's plenty of evidence that improving efficiencies in the court system by investing in it properly and removing cases from the backlog that should not be there will reduce it. We'd rather see those steps taken first than making such a constitutional change.
Worries too that judges could face intimidation.
Judges would be susceptible to a certain degree of subliminal pressure from the areas in which they sit. They would be recognised, they would be known, they would be subject to potential abuse in a very divided society that we live in. And in fact, juries are not subject to that.
All these changes come as the Justice Secretary admits another 12 prisoners have been mistakenly released in the last 3 weeks. As court cases are sped up, that could shift pressure onto a prison system already at breaking point. Dan Whitehead, Sky News in Bristol.